per se, but
All right. I just wanted to do a commentary, a live commentary of this discussion I just did yesterday with this character that calls himself a deconverted man. Right now, the backstory to this, right, is me and this cat we reached out to each other because he talked to one of my buddies, Jay, a couple of months ago, and I reached out to him to see if he'd bring me on the show for, just for conversation. So basically, he's like a an atheist, but in his past, he used to be a Christian. But that's how he got the name Deconverted Man, because he used to be a Christian, but now he's an atheist again. And I was gonna go on with this dude, but what happened was, here's a funny story behind that. I showed up on time, exactly when he said, to do the stream together. In fact, I showed up 10 minutes early just to be polite. And then, of course, what do you know? It turns out the dude left me hanging for 2 hours, and he didn't even give me a message to let me know he couldn't do it this night. And it turns out he overslept on me. He overslept when he knew that we already planned to do a conversation on his channel. I mean, that's a douchebag move, but he said he forgot, so I, let it slide, right? I let it slide. Because that's the individual I am, even though it wasted 2 hours of my time for no reason when he could have politely let me know beforehand that he couldn't do it. Hey, I'll just let that slide this time. So, anyway, I saw him doing a live stream yesterday, so I thought, what the hell? I'll just go hop on there with him. It says open panel or whatever, so I'll just go hop on there with him for a couple minutes, and we'll have a conversation since we didn't get to do it the last time, right? So I'm gonna play for you the interaction between me and this individual, and I'm going to pause it in between when I want to comment on something being said on his side or my side. Um, so yeah, I'm going to pause it the video when I want to comment about things that he says, and I'll tell you, man, already watching the conversation back, I can tell you, this guy is not as intelligent as I anticipated him to be. Usually, and this is what I always say, right? Actually give atheists credit, because a lot of atheists are actually more knowledgeable about the Bible than the average Christian is. And I can say that out of, watching Christian content on YouTube for like 9 years, right? So a lot of atheists know more about the Bible than a lot of Christian knows, right? A lot of Christians don't know as much as atheists do about the Bible, as unfortunate as that sounds. But this character, it blew me away. The ignorance and the hypocrisy. This guy claims that he's a intelligent individual, but yet he literally gets daggered on like every single point that's brought up in this conversation. I mean, it's just astonishing. But anyway, I'm going to start this.
Right, right. Well, anyway, man. So you would you consider yourself to be atheist, agnostic, or what's your view on that?
skeptic is good. Atheist, agnostic, atheist, those work as well. Though atheism, I think, goes a bit too far. Some kind of a weaker atheist, I suppose.
Right, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I would consider myself to be technically I'm a Christian because the word Christian means a follower of Christ. So by definition, I technically would be a Christian.
Yeah, there's lots of flavors of that, isn't there?
Right, right.
Yeah, lots of,
There's like 40,000
yeah, yeah,
different denominations of Christianity that exist in the world.
yeah, maybe more. Because
Yeah,
there's also
yeah,
the
probably.
hidden Japanese or the hidden Christians in Japan. I saw a documentary on that. It was very interesting. How Christianity was, came in. The missionaries came in, and the emperor outlawed it. So the people that had converted kind of went into hiding. And just recently, they kind of came out of hiding. So now we're learning about their beliefs, which have merged with Buddhist beliefs. So they have like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Buddhist Jesus. It's really
Yeah,
quite
I know about that. Over in I believe it's North Korea, China, Japan, countries like that. They ban the Bible. You're not allowed to have the Bible. I'm sure they probably ban the Quran over there too.
well. It was way back when. Now it's not. Now it's
Well,
fine.
yeah, now
Whatever.
now they're loosening up on the control they have over it. But yeah, at one
Yeah.
point
I'm sure North Korea, you can't do diddle.
The conversation starts out relatively friendly, but it starts to degrade once the hard questions start coming out. When he questions me about the scriptures, and I counter what he's saying, then you can start to see the flaws with this guy's ideology. And again, I want to stress the fact that this is literally the very first time that me and this character have actually had a voice to voice conversation, right? We've only sent like 2 text messages to each other, to set up the last live stream, and you know how that went. So this is officially the very first conversation that me and this individual had, and most likely will be the last conversation we have. His words, not mine.
Squat.
Right.
But then again, I don't know, because we don't really know what goes on in North Korea that much.
Man,
so,
it's weird.
Different people have different beliefs and different ideas about how reality functions, the true nature of reality. And this video was, I was responding to a comment that Doc Holliday made, and that's what this was. And now it's this, and that's great too. So I guess regarding Revelations, and I suppose you'd also maybe have Daniel in there as well, as far as end times.
Well, truly, as far as end times goes, there's end time prophecies found throughout all the Bible, including the apocryphal books. You find them even back in the Old Testament. There's certain things talking about the second coming. Like, let me give the audience an example. If you read the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, at verse 15 to verse 17, it says, "Behold, the Lord will come with clouds, and with his chariots like a fire, and he'll render recompense upon his enemies." I'm nearly paraphrasing the verse, but anybody can look that up for themselves.
I'll elaborate on that. There's plenty of places in the Old Testament where there's future prophecies, meaning things that have not yet taken place, that the prophets wrote about thousands of years ago. I'll give you another example. Isaiah, the 14th chapter, that hasn't happened yet. Isaiah, the 60th chapter, that's a future prophecy. So again, those are just a couple of examples. Isaiah, the 13th chapter, right? Those are a couple examples from the book of Isaiah. Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51. Again, you could go on and on. There's plenty of prophecies in the Old Testament of things that are, soon to happen in the world that have not happened. Daniel, the 12th chapter, among other honorable mentions. So the prophecies are not only in the New Testament Revelation, but they're all throughout the books. They're all throughout the 80 books.
Clearly a prophecy in the Old Testament about the second coming of who people call Jesus Christ. So once again, we find prophecies in the Bible dealing with the end times all throughout the entire Bible.
Yeah. I my view on Revelation alone is it's probably about King Nero. Which I know is still kind of questioned as a full explanation of it, but I think that's a decent explanation about it. And that's it. I just go, that's about King Nero, and moving on. So I'm not really worried about it. I'm not really worried about much of anything that the Bible says anymore. I used to care, but now I'm fully jaded about it. It's just another book written by humans, just like every other religion out there. And I find nothing that indicates that I'm in error of that. So is there any empirical evidence, repeatable test, and or valid and sound argument that you might present for any of the beliefs that you hold? And
well, speaking of the prophecies, right? So I'll give you one to start. Now, the book of Revelation was written about 2,000 years ago. Now, one of the things in it, I'll show you that we actually see happening right now in the world over the past, a decade or so, is the RFID implantable microchip that goes inside of your hand. We see in the Bible, was that Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, it says he calls all to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, that nobody could buy or sell except they had this mark or the name of the beast.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one example of a prophecy we see starting to take place in the world. Now, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so Book of Revelation was written around sometime in 96 CE, and it's probably a Christian from Athens known as John the Elder. But different John. There's too many Johns in the Bible. But yes, 96 CE. So yeah, a while ago. But as far as the mark The mark has been, when Social Security first came out, people said that's the mark. That's what the mark is.
Right.
A bunch of people said that, and when credit cards came out, people said that's what the mark is.
Yeah, and they also said that when this jabby jab, I got to use code language for YouTube, but when that came out in 2020, people were also saying that that's it.
Taking vaccines is the mark. Yeah, whatever you want is the mark, and I think that's just post hoc reasoning. You're saying, oh, here's this thing, that must be what this thing is talking about.
Right,
well,
right.
Then it's everything, and it's anything, and it's like.
Well, let me comment on that. I agree with you that a lot of people have a misunderstanding and they'll say everything. Like say for instance, right? Like even back a few thousand years ago, they would say that the Roman coin, the denarius, was also the mark.
Yeah,
too.
Nero.
Right. So again, everybody comes up with their own belief and conclusion. But however, with the one I'm giving you, out of all of these ideas that people speculate about, this one more so it lines up with the prophecy because it literally is put inside of your hand, like literally goes in the hand.
Yeah, but it's not law that you must do this.
But once again, though, that's why I said earlier we see this beginning to take place. I didn't say the full pitch.
But it seems rather vague. Why couldn't it just say, in this exact date, at this exact time, this is what's going to happen? But then it also...
Well, of course it's not going to say at this exact date, exact time, this is going to happen. That's why I say, for instance, right, if you go to Matthew, I believe it's 13 and verse 10, the apostles asked Christ, why do you speak to the people in parables? And he told them, it's given to you to know the mystery of the kingdom of heaven, but unto the masses it's not given to know this. It's not given to them to know the understanding of these breakdowns. That's why he speaks in parables. Because, anybody can read the Bible. In fact, here's a fun fact for you. The Bible is the most printed book and most sold book throughout all history in the world, right? There's like a billion copies of the Bible that exist on the earth, in different languages that it's been interpreted into, right? But the reason I bring it up is there's literally been a billion people who've read the Bible, if not more. That doesn't mean that they understand what they're reading. Because a lot of people will just read it like a chapter book and, they'll get, misunderstood and, caught up on certain phrases, won't know the interpretation of them. And that's why the Bible is like written in a code, right? It's written in allegories and metaphorical language because it's not supposed to be, easy to be interpreted. As I brought up Matthew 13:10, which, easily demonstrates that. Now, why I brought up the mark, right, Revelation 13:16, is he was asking me about the prophecies, like, why would I believe that? Is there any, of them that, you see happening or anything like that? I was like, well, this one here we see beginning to take place in the world, over the past, decade. Like, I remember back in 2016, there was a company, I believe they were called, it's either Free Square Market or Four Square Market, something like that. There was a company over in Britain, and they were like, making their employees take a chip in the hand, and they used it to unlock the doors and use the vending machines on the premise of their job, right? And in fact, the enforcers, the people in charge of the business, they enforced this policy on the employees. You have to get this or you're going to have to, lose your job because, we require everybody to get this. So that's, a start where companies are starting to, experiment with this stuff. And now today, the credit cards, you can, scan your card. You don't have to put it in a machine now. You can just scan it at some places and it will pay for your stuff. But very soon, it's going to evolve into that chip inside of your hand that you get to use to make transactions. It's not today, not tomorrow, but in the near future, it's going to evolve into that. Now, same thing with how, at one point people were just using cash, but then once these cards started getting, introduced slowly but surely, people started to migrate over to using the cards compared to using cash. So same thing with this technology that they have now. Slowly but surely, this is going to be pushed upon the people. So it hasn't happened yet on a mass scale, but it's coming very soon. And we see people in the world that have it. Literally, I know a person, all jokes aside, I know a person who literally has the microchip implanted in their hands. Like, seriously, I know a dude who has it. So again, these people are out there. Yeah, they are out there. Again, it's not on a massive nationwide scale yet, but in the near future it will be.
You have the problem of it could be self-fulfilled. That is, people know it's going to happen, so they work to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, the book says that we're supposed to have this thing that everybody pays with this mark, so why don't we make it a law that you have to have a tattoo so that the end times comes about? Like they say, we can have a tattoo on your right palm, and you can only pay with that if you have it, and that's the law. And we're powerful enough, there's enough of us to force that into existence because we want the end times to happen, right? So that's self-fulfilling prophecy then, right? So that wouldn't really count.
I wouldn't necessarily agree it would, because say for instance, right? If they make it to where everybody has to get a tattoo on their hand, that wouldn't fulfill the prophecy because it doesn't go inside the hand, just like it says. It could be similar to it, sure, but
in the skin. It's close enough, I think that to be prophecy, the thing is, none of it is written in such a way that we can be absolutely clear about what it's saying, nor when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen.
And son, the next point that I'm going to bring up, I mean, this guy gets totally daggered on it, and he makes a fool of himself. I also want to point out that me and Jay, we quickly, got this clip, right? We quickly went to his stream and clipped the part where I went on because we knew he was going to delete it because he got totally destroyed in the debate. He got annihilated by a Christian, and that's sad. This guy's probably in his late 30s, but he got completely butchered, metaphorically speaking, by a 21-year-old. I mean, that got to be embarrassing right there, right? This atheist that's so intelligent and smart got completely confounded and debunked by a Christian 21-year-old. I mean, that's embarrassing right there, man. I mean, damn. But lo and behold, my prediction was right. This guy did delete this live stream. So the only reason that you're watching this conversation is because me and Jay had the smarts to quickly take the clip of when I went on there with him before he took the stream down. So if we didn't do that, this conversation would have never been seen again. So thank goodness we acted why we did.
Not written in such a way as to not be vague, and it's not written in such a way that if it could be self-fulfilled, that somebody somewhere or somebody's couldn't make a way for it to become actual if they had enough political pull, etc., to do so. I'm not saying that people would, although people have certainly tried to cause different various end time scenarios. There was a guy in China that had a cult following of about 10,000 people, and they were planning an anthrax attack on the entire continent. And fortunately, the plan came to life, so he was thwarted. But they were very close. They came darn close to doing it. Actually, I don't think it was anthrax. I think they had some sort of designer thing that was even stronger than that. But regardless, the thing is, we'd have to. Well, what counts as a prophecy? How do you deduce that the thing said is a prophecy at all? Like it's hey guys, how's it going? Oh, that's a prophecy right there. Well, how did you know that? Because it just doesn't strike me as empirical evidence of the thing or a repeatable test because it's too vague, it's too loose. So okay, but we have that vague sort of, well, maybe that's kind of lining up, maybe, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe. What else you got besides that? Do you have anything more tangible than that?
Well, I can give you one that's already happened. Say for instance, the Christ, right, who people call Jesus. We see prophecies about him in the Old Testament, and then when you read the New Testament, it lines up with what was written before him. Say for instance,
but it doesn't.
Let me finish real quick. Say for instance, Isaiah the 53rd chapter. Right, if you read that, it goes in depth onto what's going to happen to this future Christ that's in the future going to be born. And then when you read how Christ was crucified, the story seems to line up with what was written in Isaiah 53. But you said it doesn't. So could you elaborate on?
It really doesn't, because if you keep reading, you note that there's vast differences. But also, of course,
could you give you said there's vast differences. Could you give me two of those differences?
Off the top of my head, no.
But then how could you? But wait, but brother, how could you say that there's so many differences? But
Because
if I ask you
I'm
for one, you
familiar.
won't
I'm
know them.
familiar with it enough.
Yeah,
I could find it. I
I'm
can't
simply
produce it
saying.
on demand.
All right, but I'm
You
simply saying if you're so familiar with it, you should be able to give me just one of them, right?
I
Oh man, he shot himself in the foot with that one, man. So he asked me, got any other examples? I bring up Isaiah 53. Everybody knows that chapter. Clearly, that's a prophecy about Christ written by Isaiah. And and this dude makes a statement and says, well, it doesn't actually line up with the story of Christ's crucifixion in the New Testament. Then I ask him, well, wait, if you say you're so familiar with the chapter, and he boldly said it, there are like so many, there's a lot of examples of where it um, doesn't connect with the story in the New Testament, right? So I simply ask him, okay, well, since you're so knowledgeable on it, could I have like just one or two examples of where it contradicts the story? And he's like, well, I don't know that off the top of the dome. It's like, but wait, but you just said you're so familiar with it and that there's like a ton of problems with it not being Christ. So it's like, how the hell do you not know just one of them? It's like, dude, you literally said there's a lot, meaning multiple. So you don't even know one of them? Hey, look, I don't mean to speak for the audience, but if I was to speak for the audience, it sounds like you're just pulling shit out of your behind, man. You're just making shit up as you go along. That's what this sounds like to me. He's just making it up as he goes along, right? He's freestyling, is what this guy's doing, right? He's doing a whole lot of tap dancing, metaphorically speaking. That's what this guy's doing. He's getting daggered in this debate. This guy's, you can tell this guy's not, he has a couple screws loose up in the dome. That's very clear to see. But again, think about that. The dude's like, oh, well, there's so many, inconsistencies. It's like, okay, well, out of the so many inconsistencies, could I have just one of them? Could you just give us one example of an inconsistency of why Isaiah 53 is not actually talking about Christ? Because when I read it, it clearly lines up with the story of how Christ got crucified in the New Testament. They line up perfectly. So that's a prophecy from the Old Testament that came to pass that demonstrates that the Bible is reliable. So all you can do is say, well, that's not true. But then if I ask you, well, why is that not true? He doesn't know. He this is just amazing. This is just astonishing. This is just I don't even know what to say. We'll continue.
believe you said uh, what was it?
Isaiah 53.
Yeah. If you keep reading, isn't that where he's pierced or whatever that one?
Yeah, it speaks about him being pierced through. Again, we could bring up the whole chapter, but it speaks about many different things. It speaks
Yeah,
about,
exactly. It speaks about many different things. If you keep going, it no longer matches Jesus, basically. And I don't really feel like rereading it because
that's fine. But I'm saying it's like because once again, right,
the other thing, and of course the other thing is whoever wrote that was after the time that the thing that came before it wrote. So they're like, hey, it says this is going to happen. Let's say that that's what happened. So let's just make up that that's what happened, and we'll pretend that that's what happened, and we'll write that that's what happened. Prophecy fulfilled. It's made up.
But not all of the say for instance, not all of the writers were there at the crucifixion of Christ. Some of them were eyewitnesses.
None of them were that we know of. None of the writers, because we don't know who the writers were. They're far removed from that time period. The earliest writings we have are far after that time period. But even if they were supposed eyewitnesses, I don't care because they could have still made up what happened and wrote it down. There's nothing to prevent people from writing down stuff that did not happen and other people believing that stuff that's written down. That's how Mormonism got started. That's how.
You know what I find funny? I want to comment on this. It's the dude sitting there saying, well, he's so skeptical about them claiming that they witnessed these things and whatnot. But yet this dummy would turn around and without hesitation, he would believe any history book from school where they, explain like historical events as they happened, right? and with eyewitness accounts included in the stories, he would accept that without a doubt, right? There's no way they could fabricate any of that. But with the same line of logic, he'll then pretend like, well, the Bible's not reliable. The personal eyewitness accounts, that's not real. But then the dummy will turn around and believe any historical book and the eyewitness accounts that pertain in it, that are included in the story in that. You know what I'm saying? It's hypocrisy.
Jesus and his stuff got started, as far as I can tell. People just made it up, wrote it down. It didn't happen. It's not real. It did not occur. It's fully whole cloth, made up, fairy tale, fiction,
All right, well, let me
not
okay, well,
real.
Let me all right, well, let me
what
ask
else you got? Because that's circular reasoning. We're going to apply the Bible to prove the Bible.
All right, now let's. Okay, well, we're going to go.
That one down. That one doesn't work either. What else? You got?
All right. Well, we'll go a little deep on this one. So you're familiar with the stories in the Old Testament, right? You would say those are all fabrications, correct? You'll see what I'm saying.
They're, as far as let's see if there's any that I can think of that would be actually true or even plausible. I don't know that they're all fabrications, but a large number are.
Okay. What's your stance about how over on Mount Ararat in Turkey they found a massive ancient structure? Let me finish real quick. Let me finish, please. They found a massive, almost 500-foot long ancient boat there on Mount Ararat
that never happened.
Turkey, where the Bible says that
they didn't find it. No one ever found it.
Can I please finish though, so the audience knows what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Is it?
But not everybody. But not everybody listening.
Is it Ron Highwit?
Him, but there's like 1,000 other people that also went there.
No one else.
Yeah, this guy's notice he won't allow me to properly form a sentence because he doesn't want the audience to hear what I'm saying because he's getting daggered. Now, he asked me for further proof because he didn't accept the other instances I gave. So I brought up an example about Noah's Ark, right? The story from Genesis, right, when Noah built the ark to escape the flood. The thing is, they found a massive ancient wooden boat on the mountains of Ararat where the Bible literally says Noah's Ark came to a rest on. In fact, I'll give you the example. So again, what are the odds that they found a massive few 100-foot long wooden boat that lines up with the depiction of the ark in the Bible, and it's in the exact location where the Bible says the boat came to rest on? And it's like, you mean to tell me that's not worth a conversation about? That you as an atheist don't think that's a little weird how the Bible could get that right? And then here we are thousands of years later, and we literally found the boat where the Bible said it was. Look here, Genesis chapter 8 and verse 4. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. So again, the ark in Turkey that me and him are talking about, it's on the exact mountain range that the Bible said here that Noah's Ark came to rest on. So again, I gotta ask, it's like, how can you claim that it's an unreasonable example I'm giving you here? I'm showing you archaeological finding of a massive ancient boat that's in the exact location where the Bible says Noah's Ark came to rest on. And you're going to claim that that's not reasonable evidence that supports the biblical story in any way, shape, or form? I mean, that's ridiculous. And then the dude says, well, you're only talking about Ron Wyatt. And then I said, well, yeah, Ron Wyatt has done a lot of research on it, sure, and I've seen his research, but there's literally like a few thousand other people that ventured out to the site and did their own test and, exploring of the remains that are found there. It's not just this one individual. And again, Ron Wyatt, a lot of his stuff actually is has some evidence behind it, but then he also goes off on some things too. Right, there's some findings he says he found that I don't necessarily believe, but then other things he claims are actually reasonable. And once again, I'm not just saying that this guy found it and nobody else. There's literally thousands of other people that go out to these sites and do the research on these things and explore these things other than this individual. Like literally, you can go on YouTube and look up, say for instance, uh, Noah's Ark found on Mount Ararat in Turkey. You'll literally get like 10,000 videos from thousands of individuals who either went there or done their own research on the story and will give you, their findings and their research on the topic. So literally, you can't just sit there and say that this is being based on one individual. And matter of fact, his story is not even correct. This guy, a deconverted man. But what's this guy deconverted from? I mean, shit, this dude's deconverted from being a straight man. I mean, damn. You know, but if you do the research on it, I actually recently, just to make sure I was in the right with what I'm saying, I went back and watched a 10-minute documentary from the History Channel. And even they said that the first time that this structure was cited was in like the late 1950s, early 1960s. There was like military pilots that were surveying the land from above, and they happened to notice this formation on the mountain. So again, this dude doesn't even know what he's talking about because Ron Wyatt wasn't even the first individual that stumbled across this. Now, sure, he could have been one of the first people to go and explore the object on the ground, sure, but there were people who noticed it from the air when they flew over it before him. So this guy didn't even know that. This guy didn't even know that. And if I'm not mistaken, which again I could be wrong on this, but I believe Ron Wyatt's research on it started in the 80s, but it was discovered in the 60s. It was discovered in the late 50s, early 60s, according to the History Channel. Right? So again, this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. It's just astonishing. We'll get back to the conversation.
So you mean to tell me that if I go on the internet and I
you'll find stuff. I'm sure you'll find stuff that pretends to say that happened, but we have absolutely no photos, no videos, no empirical evidence, no actual archaeologists.
You heard that dude's like, we have no video, we have no photographs. It's like, dude, you're going to hear him later. He says that he's done research on it, right? Dude, you literally mean to tell me there's no video and no photographs? Literally, dude, you can go on Google or on YouTube and you can find thousands of videos and thousands of photos that are taken from both the outside of this object and from the inside of the object. So for you to just sit there and say, well, there's no videos or photos that exist, I mean, you are literally lying. You are literally lying. And then later I call him out. It's like, why do you trust known liars? Then he's like, I don't trust known liars. Right? But then the dude literally, you'll see it later on, the dude literally, as his evidence for what he believes, he literally just typed a Google search and said, oh, well, look, here it says you can't see the curvature of the earth from, you can only see it from 14,000 feet. Well, see, that's the answer. It's like, wait, so your whole evidence for your belief is a Google search. So you can literally look up, what could we say? You can literally look up anything. Like, shit, you could look up a picture of Bigfoot, right? And you'll get all of those fake images on there. But you would believe that's real because, well, look, there it is. There's the picture. There's the picture. I mean, that's like the same line of stupidity as this guy's using here. It's astonishing, But again, one of my slogans I use is gullible people believe stupid things. Right? This guy is a gullible person, right? Very gullible and very ignorant about the topics that he speaks about.
Wait,
we have zero to support it. It didn't happen. It's not real.
What do you want? Can I please speak to that? I mean, I think that's fair.
No, but I want actual empirical evidence, not things cited by charlatans like Ron Howard.
Once again, I can give you that, but you're not allowing me a chance to speak. You just
the cat can't even say the dude's name right. The guy's name is Ron Wyatt. The guy said something like Ron Ryland or something like that. You heard that? Dude thinks that he knows what he's talking about, doesn't even know the name of the individual in question. I mean, this is just amazing. You know, this is amazing.
Well,
I
that's not.
mean, here's this thing that's not been discovered. That's not empirical evidence. So of course I'm going to.
Just so I know, what do you want me to? What do you want me to refer to you as?
You can call me whatever you want. You can call me Deconverted Man, DM, Dan, whatever you want.
I'll call. Can I call you Deconverted?
You can, yeah, sure, whatever.
Okay, cool. So let's deal with this, right? So Deconverted, you mean to tell me that if I go on YouTube and look up, say for instance, I look up Noah's Ark, Mount Ararat, Turkey, and I click the search, there's literally 10,000 results that pop up. You would tell me that all of those are fake?
Yes.
How do you know all those are fake?
Well, like I don't even think he clarifies this. Like when he says they're all fake, like what do you mean by that? Do you mean like the actual photographs and video of this object are all CGI and not real, or do you mean that the people are just like making up that this is something that it's not? It's like, what do you mean when you say it's all fake? Like again, if you ask me the question, like if I tell you that NASA's image of the Earth are fake, you ask me to elaborate on that, I can say, yeah, I can go in all this detail. Even this dude, what's this guy, Robert Simmons, that created the blue marble in 2002. Even he admitted, yeah, it's photoshopped. You can literally see the clouds duplicated onto multiple images. You can see the continents are different shades and different sizes on each of them. Again, I can go into detail on what I'm saying when you question me on it, but if I question you, all you can say is, who knows? Who knows? I'm a very smart person, but who knows? I believe what I'm told, right? I believe whatever Google says. I mean, this is astonishing. It's like, have you ever seen somebody so delusional? This guy is the embarrassment for the atheist community. I mean, damn. This is an embarrassment.
First and foremost, because every single claim is not verified. All those claims, if you actually look into who's making the claim, a lot of it traces back to Ron, who's a known con artist. So there's nothing there to examine. And there's zero peer-reviewed published papers in archaeology that suggest a ark. Also, we know that the world cannot fully flood. And we know that through a wide variety of means that Aaron Ra has covered way better than I ever could.
Well, once again, regardless of the actual water from the flood itself, I'm talking about this boat. You're saying that
it's not there. There's not even a boat there.
Right.
Not even a boat there.
Once again, let me pause there. Because this guy claims that he's done the research on this topic, right? So if you look at all the evidence, the video footage, and the photographs, even from the air, you can see it in its entirety, right? It's a few 100 feet long from, top to bottom, right? Everybody that's went down there to, view this thing, by vast majority, say for instance, like 90% of people out of 100, agree that this is a man-made structure of, excuse background noise. This is a man-made structure of some sort. Many say it's a boat. Some say it's, some type of, building structure or whatever. But one thing for sure, they've done the research, and they've even went out there with certain equipment that they can measure, underground, that they can visualize if there's like any type of, wooden structure set up. Like they went inside of the boat shape, and they literally found where there's like layers. There's layers inside of this thing. So it really is a boat or some type of structure that's man-made. This is not natural. So again, for you to sit there and say, well, nothing's there, nothing's weird about it, I mean, you're literally contradicting all the thousands of people that have a background in science who went down there and actually looked at this thing. And again, I can admit not all of them say that it's a boat, sure, but a lot of them do agree that this is a boat structure. But one thing vast majority of them can agree on, and this is not a natural occurrence. This was man-made. So for you to just sit there and say, oh, it's not, it's like, well, what the hell do you know? It's like you sitting there in your trailer park living on disability checks, watching Netflix all day. It's like, what the hell do you know? It's not like you actually went to these sites and actually conducted any research. All you're doing is sitting on your behind using your computer and looking up things on the internet all day, as if that's like compelling evidence for your arguments. But yet, if I do it, it's somehow not evidence. Like later, he's going to say something along the lines of, well, you don't do research into what you're saying, but I do research. And then they ask him, okay, well, if me looking up things and reading into it, if that's not considered to be research, what do you do, deconverted man, what do you do that's considered research that's not exactly what I'm doing, looking things up and reading into it or watching a video about it? Like, exactly, what is it that you're doing that's considered research that I'm not doing that considers what I'm doing not to be research? It's like, you get what I'm saying? It's just, you'll hear him say it later. This guy is just amazing. It's astonishing.
But converted, you got to be fair and let me speak. You're not even letting me finish what I'm saying. How people are able to understand what we're talking about. What I'm saying is, you mean to tell me that all the people that actually went out to this site, they took video and pictures of it. Some people even tried to go down into it. So you mean to tell me all those pictures are not real? That's what you mean.
What pictures?
I mean, literally, you could go on the internet and find hundreds of video and picture of this supposed
but
Noah's
Ark.
Ark.
Not a single professional, right?
Well, I would say there are professionals that went down to see it. You would just say they're not.
Well, not a single peer-reviewed paper has been produced by any archaeology person.
Once again, this guy clearly is delusional and doesn't know what he's talking about. Literally, the Science Channel went down there, the History Channel, the Discovery Channel, everything you can think of. All these channels have to do with science and history. That at some point in their television channels they run, they've went down there, all of those channels, and conducted some type of documentary on this structure. So they've taken people down there that know what they're talking about to actually look at this thing. So again, for you to say that not any scientist or people with any type of knowledge, in that type of field, went down to look at this, I mean, again, you're just being willfully ignorant and unknowledgeable about what you're talking about. Again, I mean, it's like, if we were to compare, if we had a scale, right, and we put on one side of the scale his arguments for why the structure on Mount Ararat is not Noah's Ark, we put that on one side, then we put my arguments for why it is on the other side. I mean, mine would be down through the floor compared to this guy, right? His would be like damn, featherweight compared to my brick-sized, weight that I can produce to support that structure really is the boat that the Bible speaks of. Again, this guy, this is the embarrassment for him right here.
I mean, I'm sure it has, but
no,
it hasn't.
I've looked at it. There's nothing there. It's a big giant nothing burger.
Okay, but
really, you looked at. He said it's a big giant nothing burger, is what he said. Oh, really? You looked at it and it turns out to be nothing? It's like, so why the hell is it that 90% of professionals and people that go down there to look at this thing all agree that it's a man-made structure of some type from the past? Only very few people say that it's natural. Vast majority of people that go down to look at this thing agree that this is man-made. So for you to say there's nothing there, like again, even if it wasn't Noah's Ark, right? Even if it was like a building or something, still there would be something of historical importance there, right? Even if it wasn't connected to the Bible and it was from like a different civilization from the past, that would still have some type of significance for history, right? So for you to say that it's nothing at all, I mean, that's just delusional. I mean, that's just retarded to say something like that. It's amazing, but this shows you that a lot of people out here that claim to be smart don't really know what they're talking about.
Well, here's the dilemma, though, as I've done plenty of research into it as well, and I will conclude, well, yeah, there certainly is something there. So how do we know?
Well, you haven't actually done research. You've looked at things that confirm your belief.
Okay, and so what research have you done? Like, take for instance, if me looking into it isn't considered research, what did you do that is considered research?
Well, I looked into who made the claim, which was a known fraud, And then I said, well, his claims are off the
And once
table.
again, it shows that you don't know what you're talking about because, again, I brought up the fact that Ron Wyatt was not the first person that spotted this. There was Army pilots that flew over back in the 60s who reported, and they actually took photographs of this from the air, right, of this structure they found that didn't line up with the rest of the surrounding rock formations on this mountain, right? So they took these images back in the 60s, according to History Channel. Okay, so Ron Wyatt, again, according to my research, he didn't start to look into it at the site until the 80s, right? So that's like, what, 20 some years? Give or take a few, that this was discovered in the air before these guys went down on the ground to look at it. So again, he wasn't the first person to discover this. You're clearly mistaken with what you're talking about.
Well, what else we got? And every other person that made a claim about it, guess what? Also fraudsters, hucksters, con artists, not a single actual archaeologist. And as far as the videos and photos, none of them show anything that are remarkable or have been confirmed by anybody else to be anything even remotely boat-like. But a lot of people want it to be that, so they say it is that.
Well,
And in every single case, it has been zero void. It's a
all right,
nothing.
well, let me bring this up. You know the technology they have where they're able to like put like I forget the name of it, but they're able to like scan the ground underneath it. You know what I'm talking about? They're able to scan the ground.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
Yeah.
That
So,
was
so
all,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
can I please finish?
Yeah, Ron Wyatt
thank
and friends supposedly did this, but they
But
didn't actually do it.
let me just finish real quick. So I'm saying again, multiple people have done this as well. It's not just this one guy, Ron White. I'm not basing what I'm saying just off of this guy's claims. There's literally hundreds of other people that have nothing to do with this guy who went down there to do their own research.
And not a single one is an actual academic archaeologist. Not a single one of them. No peer-reviewed paper.
Sure.
Not a single peer-reviewed paper. You're sure? Cite me a peer-reviewed paper on this thing. One.
If you send me your email, I can send you one. I'll look and I'll send you one. Is that fine?
A peer-reviewed paper. Okay.
Yes, I'll send you one.
It's deconvertedman1@gmail.com.
Okay, very good. So what I wanted to bring this up for, right? They've done the survey of the ground underneath where this object is, and they found evidence that there are like layers to this thing, like wooden layers under the ground where this thing is. So a lot of people that check this thing out, of course, some say it's natural, but a lot of people that view this thing and are doing the research on this, they say, well, yes, this is some type of man-made structure. So now let me ask you this. Let's just say, let's put Noah's Ark to the side for a second. So you mean to tell me it's this structure they found on Mount Ararat, it's not a man-made structure of any sort? That's what you mean to tell me?
I don't know what it is or what they found or if they found anything at all. What I do know is that when I investigated this, it was a giant nothing burger. They might have found something else that is some sort of structure, but and it might, maybe they found a boat. I doubt it. But even if they did...
So again, you heard it from him. He's unsure. But then he says even if they did find a building or a boat or some type of structure, it's a big nothing burger, meaning it's like of none importance. I mean, I think every historian would disagree with you on that. Again, even if it's not Noah's Ark, right? Even if it's just like an ancient structure from a civilization, like every historian would say, well, yeah, that's a big deal right there. We got to do more research into that. This guy's like, nothing important. I mean, come on, this is amazing.
Find a boat, it'd have to be dated to a time period near the time. And
well, they've taken the wood that they found there and they date it to be like 4,800 years old is what they date the wood to be.
Who did?
From the site. Who did? Well, the scientists that took the wood sample.
What scientists?
And I misspoke here. I believe it was Ron Wyatt. They have it on display at the museum. They took a piece of the wood they found from the anomaly, and they took it back. Dated it about 4,800 years old, and they put it on display at their museum where they have other Bible artifacts on display. So I misspoke here. You'll hear it.
What are their names?
I believe Kent Hovind.
Not a scientist. Kent Hovind's not a scientist. No, he's not a scientist. He's a fraud.
I mean, well, again, even if you don't like Kent Hovind, I mean, which, hell, I can agree that he goes off on certain things that he says, sure. But I've watched plenty of his debates. Matter of fact, he goes on this channel I watch called Standing for Truth, right? They have, like, Christian versus atheist, evolution versus creation debates. And one of the people they constantly bring on to have discussions with is this guy, Kent Hovind, right? Because YouTube deleted his main channel, right? So he still goes around and has open mic debates with people that believe in evolution. And hey, look, I got to give the man credit, right? Even though he goes off on certain teachings about the scriptures, I got to give this man credit. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to the theory of evolution and about his refuting of the religion, right? Of the religion of evolution, right? And that's what this guy believes, right? This guy believes that, he didn't come from a god, but he came from, a fish that evolved into a monkey and then into him. but he doesn't trust liars, though, right? He doesn't trust liars, even though there's literally like hundreds of frauds throughout the year that were pushing evolution who put these the displays out for the people where they claim that they found like skeletal remains of creatures that were in the transitioning stage from one species into another. So they put them on display. So it'd be like half this creature, half that creature, and people believed it. And then it comes out years later that all these ones on display are all fake. But you don't trust liars, though. You'll hear him say later on in the stream. He doesn't trust liars. Then he also says later that, well, if you're telling the truth, you don't have to lie, right? If you're actually telling the truth, then you don't have to lie. Oh, wait a second, though. Then why the hell do your evolution guys, why the hell are they all lying to push the idea of evolution then? Why don't you call them out? Why is NASA hiding the, why are they faking their pictures if they're not hiding something? If they're not lying, why are they faking things? If the ISS is, nothing fishy with that, why the hell have we caught them literally hundreds of times throughout the years where there's mistakes in the video, where it glitches out, where it's not supposed to? Clear evidence of green screens being used. And you mean to tell me that there's nothing to that? Oh, I believe what I'm told. All that's real, all that's reliable. I'm a very smart person. I mean, this guy is just amazing. Again, it's just astonishing.
And huckster.
I mean, I hope you could say that, but I disagree.
No, he is. He is absolutely a liar and a charlatan. He's not a scientist. He's a pseudoscientist. He believes the Earth is ridiculously young, and as well as ludicrous other beliefs. Do you think that your world is flat? Let me ask you that, or disc-shaped, or not an obloid spheroid? Let's find out what you believe. Do you believe the world is an obloid spheroid? Yes or no?
You said a oblate spheroid, like
obloid spheroid. Yeah.
I don't believe the world.
You know what I find funny though? Keep this in mind. The guy asked me, "Do I believe the Earth is a oblate spheroid?" You do know, and you'll see why I'm laughing here in a little bit. But you do know that quote came from Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? He said that the Earth is kind of like pear-shaped, right? It's a oblate spheroid. That was Neil deGrasse Tyson who said that. It's the school textbooks, and you can believe me because I've been in school more recently than you have been, Deconverted man. So I'm up to date with the textbooks in the school about what they teach about the Earth. They literally show a crystal clear round Earth, right? Like there's no bulges, there's no pear shape to the world. It's literally a perfect circle. So the school doesn't even teach that the Earth is a oblate spheroid. That was literally, ironically enough, you'll see why this is funny in a little bit, but that was Neil deGrasse Tyson who said that the Earth is oblate spheroid, right? Like pear-shaped. That's literally what Neil deGrasse Tyson said. That's not what school taught us. It's like seriously. I mean, this guy's just a dummy, man. I mean, damn.
World's a oblate spheroid.
Okay. What is it then?
What is it? Well, truly, to give you the honest answer, nobody has been out to.
Okay, ipsiloid.
I can't. Well, let me say this without being talked over, please. If you want me to give you the exact shape of the world, I can't do it because I never went to see it myself. But based on my research, I don't believe it's a spheroid that we were told in school. I have plenty of reason to not believe.
So you don't think it's round?
Well, I do believe the world is round, but just
a sphere.
No.
Well, again, something can be round and not be a sphere, right? Something can be round and not be a ball. Let me give you an example. Look at our icons on the screen. Those are circles, right? But that's not a globe. Those are not a spheroid. They're a circle, though, right? They're a flat circle. It's like, so just by that one example, we can see that something can be flat and be a circle at the same time. Like, say, for instance, right? And I gave him a couple examples, but, he wasn't able to catch on. But it's like you're sitting there implying that a circle means spheroid, but literally there's 10,000 examples of things in the world that are circles that are not spheroids. Like a dinner plate is a circle. That's not a globe. A car tire is a circle. A frisbee is a circle. A pizza pie is a circle. Hell, a pie is a circle. Well, I think that's enough examples, but, again, just off of those couple of examples, those are all things that are circles, but those are not spheroids, right? So again, it's like, do you acknowledge that you can't sit there and say, you ask me, well, I believe the earth is round. I say, yeah, oh, so that means you must believe it's a globe. It's like, no, I don't believe it's a globe or a oblate spheroid. And first of all, a circle doesn't even mean a globe.
Let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question?
Not a sphere. It's not a sphere. What shape is it then?
All right, let me ask you a question.
Like a bowl
is
shape?
Deconverted man, can you please can you please
this guy reminds me of that hamster from the movie Bolt, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. This dummy right here, man. This big, well, shit, I can't even say that. But man, this dude, if I was to pick a fictional character and this guy reminds me of the most, I gotta pick that damn hamster from the kid show Bolt. Damn, hell, at least me speaking for myself, that's the character this guy reminds me of for some reason.
Allow me to speak. Let me ask you a question. Is a pizza pie? Is that circle or is that a globe?
Yeah, it's a circle, but
it's a circle. Okay, so you agree that a circle does not mean something's a globe?
Yeah. But I was trying to short.
But I mean, you see how dishonest that is. Is a frisbee?
No,
a
it's
circle?
not dishonest. You're just but you believe the Earth is.
Again,
is it like a flat pancake or like? Is it a bowl shape?
And again, cats like this it really amuses me because they sit there and they act like they're very knowledgeable and smart about what they're talking about. But you can literally tell by the questions this guy's asking, he literally has never even took 5 minutes to actually look into what a flat earther believes. Like literally, there's no flat earther that believes the Earth is a pancake, right? Or like a flat like a pancake that if you go too far you'll fall off the edge of it. Like literally, nobody believes that. And I've been a flat earther for over 7 years. I've been a flat earther since 2016. Okay, so hey, look, I'm an OG, right? I would be considered to be a veteran of flat Earth because I came into the idea and into the subject back when it first hit the internet. It first hit the internet back in 2015, but 2016 is like the second year, right? So I'm like a OG when it comes to this, right? Believe that or not. So that I've been a flat earther for over 7 years now, I can tell you that I've never met a flat earther that I've talked to out of the years. I've talked to hundreds, right? And literally, I've never met one flat earther who believes that the earth is flat like a pancake, that you could go and fall off the edge. I've also never met any single person who believes that the earth is like bowl shaped. Maybe the exception is Samuel Owens, but I mean, that guy's, a fruitcake, inning of himself. But shit, he probably wouldn't even say that it's bowl shaped, right? He believes it's like concave, but not necessarily like a bowl, if you get what I'm saying. But shit, that would be the closest thing I could think of for a person who believes that stupidity. Shit, and that dude, has a personality disorder. That guy's like that. Literally, that dude is a Kevin Wendell Crumb from the movie Split. Right? One minute he's happy, the next minute he's mad. One minute he's the son of man, the other minute he's ruling from New Jerusalem Trailer Park on High Holy Hill. I mean, seriously, these are the dummies we have out here, right? It's ridiculous.
Or what nonsense do you believe about the earth?
Well, according to the scriptures,
according to the scriptures, so you believe things based on what the Bible, you think that the Bible says.
And I'm gonna correct them. I brought up according to the scriptures we can go by, and it explains what the world looks like, right? The Bible explains to us what the world looks like. You certainly can't get a rotating spherical, earth from the Bible. You can't get that. The Bible is absolutely a flat, non-rotating world book. But my story, how I came to flat earth, literally, I didn't even go to the Bible to come to the idea. I just watched videos from people who done the research dealing with science, or, NASA exposed videos, and stuff like that. And then it was later on that I went to the Bible and looked at that information in there. So again, I'm not basing this just off of what this one book says. That's literally not what I'm doing. I've done the research into science and about the history of the space organization. Hell, you don't even know that. What year was NASA founded? You don't even know that. Why is let me give you another example, right? What about this guy Werner von Braun? Do you even know what he did? What did they put on his tombstone? What is that? Psalms 19:1? The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. What's the firmament? You don't know that. Again, this guy is, does a lot of talking, but he doesn't do a lot of listening, is what this character does.
Rather than the reality of things.
Once again, the deconverted man, if you would give me 10 seconds to speak, I was literally going to say, I've done the research about the shape of the world outside of the Bible. I didn't even go to the Bible to come to this conclusion.
Yeah.
So again, you're making all these conclusions, but you're literally making a fool of yourself, because that's not what I'm saying. Now, once again, can I ask you a question? Is a car tire, is that a circle, or is that a
look,
okay. Obviously, it's a circle,
sphere.
Right?
Sphere.
Something can be a circle and not a sphere.
Yeah, but I was trying to get to what you thought about it.
Let me ask.
It's like, dude, you do realize that these images you looked up, it's blurry for me, but it looks like a shape of the earth, or sphere of the earth, it looks like. So you do realize, like, we can be honest and acknowledge that all these images here are artist illustrations of the earth. Like, you literally are not going to tell me that these are real photographs that you're looking up here, right? You're not delusional enough to claim that? Because again, as somebody who's studied and actually knowledgeable on the topic like myself, unlike you, I've actually done the research into this. And again, you can, don't take my words for it, look into this yourself, but you can literally take any of these NASA images, you can look at the clouds, they're duplicated on multiple different images, the continents are different shades of color and different sizes on each of the globes. It's like, if these were real, they all wouldn't be that different from each other, right? I mean, come on, this is so easy to see it. There's a deception going on here. It's like the fact that you can't see that, and again, you don't even have to tie it into the Bible. You could be an atheist and still acknowledge, well, yeah, there's something fishy going on here with this stuff. I mean, seriously, man. You're behind You're behind the curve. You're behind the curve. Inside joke. Shout out to anybody that knows what I'm making fun of. Right, this guy is beyond the curve. He's behind the curve. As far as his level of education goes.
Let me ask you a question. What altitude can you see the curvature of the Earth?
Oh,
I'd have to look that up.
You gotta look that. You don't know that off the top of the head.
No, I don't know that off the top of my head.
What altitude can you see the curvature of the Earth?
I'd have to look that up.
You gotta look that. You don't know that off the top of the head.
No, I don't know that off the top of my head. Do you know what 10,000 to the power of 50,000 is off the top of your head? No.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Look, I don't know what the answer is, but I know what the answer isn't, and the answer isn't that the world is any other shape than what the actual shape is. And
but again, it's like you say that the answer is that it's not, the Earth isn't any other shape than what it actually is. It's like, but how do you know what it is, though? I mean, you do realize that all of the information you get about that is handed down from you from governmental organizations that are trying to have control over your mind, right? Like again, you claim that you're a smart person and fall for the deception of the Bible and Christianity, apparently, but yet you weren't able to catch on to the fact that the government is pulling a deception over you. They're pulling the wool over your eyes. Like this dude literally said later on in the stream, a guy could use code language, but he literally said, hey, I took my Corolla waxes and the roosters that came with them. Read between the lines. This dummy literally lined his ass up and got those things without hesitation. It tells you, the level of intelligence that this guy's on. I mean, damn. This is laughable.
You believing in something else just amuses me to no end, but it doesn't surprise me.
Again, it amuses you to no end because you're not very knowledgeable, you're not very intelligent on the topics that you're speaking about. And again, I've proven it here that I've completely annihilated you, metaphorically speaking. I annihilated you on every single topic we've brought up in this conversation. Again, you should be embarrassed. You're like 30-some years old getting butchered, metaphorically, by a 21-year-old. Hey, look, I'm out of your league, man. Hey, look, you're Jester, I'm Montresor, but I'm about to make you my Fortunato, and I'm going to seal this conversation up like the cask of Amontillado. Inside joke. This dummy doesn't even know what I'm referring to there. Which, if he went to school, I'm sure he read that story before. But anyway, I digress. But again, the reason it's amusing to you is because, again, you're not knowledgeable on what you're talking about. It's like you don't even know, like seriously, if you were to threaten this guy, and again, I said, I'm not saying to do this, I'm just saying if somebody was to threaten this guy, and this guy couldn't, to save his life, he couldn't even give you 2 reasons why flat earthers question the globe. Like seriously, if you were to threaten this guy and tell him, well, give me 2 reasons why flat earthers question the globe, or something bad will happen. This guy couldn't tell you 2 reasons why people would be skeptical of the globe to save his own behind. Like seriously. So again, it's like, take a seat, dude. You should just take your whole channel down, because you're doing nothing for people watching you other than for entertainment. You're not teaching anybody nothing. You're not saying anything knowledgeable. You're just babbling on about something you don't know anything about, as easily as being demonstrated. Like tell me, the audience listening, tell me if I'm wrong here. Am I not proving that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about by all the evidence, the history, and the scientific information that I'm providing in this video? All he can do is, I don't know. It's like, come on. This is clearly, hey, these skills are not evenly distributed, right? These, well, I couldn't say that, but inside joke, right? These skills right here, these are not evenly distributed. This guy is clearly, this is a lopsided conversation, and I got the upper hand. Right, I got the upper hand in this debate.
because you believe in nonsense. You call Kent Hovind a scientist. What other nitwits do you have in your arsenal of nothing to offer?
Could you again? I'm trying to have a respectful, friendly conversation.
I'm not
acting like a child.
No, I'm just saying what's true.
Okay.
This is what is really true. Is the shape of the Earth is really well, they say obloid, spheroid, or they say different.
Am I still on? Am I still on here, or did you take me down?
Oh, you're still here. We can still hear you rattling off things, but I'm going to interrupt you every time that you're absolutely wrong about everything. Okay, what age of the Earth do you think it is? Do you think it's 6,000 or some other stupid age as well? I just want to know.
I believe it's roughly 12,500.
12.5. Okay. Biological evolution through biological evolution.
Hold on.
I want to know what other beliefs you have.
Why is it that you won't allow anybody to speak?
I just want to get through all the bullshit.
Look, I don't have a problem answering the questions, but when you ask me, you don't even allow me to answer what you're asking me. You just say,
you said 12,000. Yeah, that's good. Let's move on to the next thing.
Okay, but you won't even allow me to like, say for instance, right? I was going to ask you, could you take a guess as to what altitude you have to be?
Oh, and I want to point out, I forgot to mention this earlier when we were talking about Noah's Ark. I didn't even intend on going fully in depth into that topic about Noah's Ark. I was actually going to bring up another thing that would completely blow him out of the water with him, scrutinizing the Old Testament. I was going to bring up, well, what about when the Israelites went through the Red Sea? There's actual evidence that this actually happened. It's at the Nuweiba Beach. You can scuba dive into the Red Sea waters there, and they found ancient wreckage of Egyptian chariots in the sea there. Horse bones are down there, men's bones are down there in this area, right? Now, why is that down there? Well, it lines up with the story that the Israelites went through the sea and the Egyptians chased them on the chariots, and then God closed the sea on them and crushed them in the sea. And even on land at the Nuweiba Beach, it lines up with the story too. There's mountain ranges surrounding them with only one path to go out, but the Egyptians came through that and closed it out. So the only way the people could get out of there was to go through the sea. That lines up with the story too. And the nail in the coffin is across from the Nuweiba Beach into Saudi Arabia. Mount Sinai is over there. And even the locals, even the government over there, they know that mountain is Mount Sinai. The top of the mountain is the only burned mountaintop in all the region. There's 12 pillars of stone at the bottom of the mountain. There's the golden calf altar that's been built there with etched in menorahs and animals into it and Hebrew writing on it. So again, all the evidence is there to support that the Old Testament stories actually happened. It's just you and other atheists out there are too gullible and ignorant to actually look into the information without being biased. And again, another nail into the coffin for this guy is it even says, I believe that's Galatians, the 4th chapter. Yeah, I believe that's Galatians chapter 4. It even makes a reference to Mount Sinai being in Arabia. And going back to what I said, they found Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia. But if you go to Galatians 4, it makes a reference to it being in Arabia. So once again, the Bible proven true. And we didn't even get to that point, but he would have been blown out of the water with that one. I mean, damn, this guy's getting... I haven't seen a atheist get this cornered in a hell of a long time, man. I mean, this is a embarrassment. He should be happy he deleted that stream. Because you even had in the comment section, there was a couple people there from his audience saying, yeah, man, that guy ETT, he got you good. And he literally deleted the comments. I went back 20 minutes later to see if anybody answered my question in the comments. And the other dude that was criticizing Deconverted, man, his comment was totally removed. So this guy deleted that guy's comment that was criticizing him, saying, I won. Shows you, man, the guy's not being honest.
To see the curve. And there was a reason I was going to ask you that, because I was going to see if you knew that Neil deGrasse Tyson, right, the world-famous astrophysicist, He said that no human could see any curvature of the Earth.
Oh, he did?
Not
really?
even 127,000 feet. Literally.
When did he say that and where?
When did he say that? He did it when he was on a he was doing a show and he was speaking about the 2012 Red Bull space jump. Are you familiar with that? He said at that altitude, at 127,000 feet, no human could see any curvature of the Earth. It is flat at that level.
Let's see.
That's what he said.
Let's see.
And I'll show you that because he couldn't find the full clip. And then he says, well, they probably took it out of context. I'm going to show you the clip from the full video. And I watched a full video. You can find it on YouTube. It's an entire hour long. So I'm going to show you the clip from when Neil deGrasse Tyson said that no human could see the curvature from 127,000 feet above the Earth.
Space Station is, Hubble, etc.
Oh, okay. So if the Earth were actually this size, the International Space Station would be orbiting about a half an inch above the surface. And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner. He would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, you know, I don't. It's fine. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. Right. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, wow, he's in space, look at that. No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat. And then I showed examples of wide-angle lenses curving horizontal. I tweeted that.
You did.
But I don't want to be a spoil. You know.
So once again, you saw with that example I just given there that even Neil deGrasse Tyson, right, the world-famous astrophysicist, he said that nobody can see any curvature from 127,000 feet. He said, you don't see the curvature of the Earth at that altitude. Meaning what? Nobody under that altitude, according to him, is able to see curvature. And then keep in mind, he also addressed the lens of the camera, right? The fisheye lens, how it distorts the image. Because this guy, in a little bit, he's going to go to an image and say, well, oh, look, there's the curve. There's the curve. Right, you guys are wrong because the curve is there. But this dumbass doesn't even know that even Neil deGrasse Tyson acknowledges that, yeah, that's not the curvature of the Earth. That's just the camera that was distorting the lens. And then this dummy doesn't know, because again, he doesn't do research on what he talks about. But as somebody who looked into the Red Bull space jump and actually watched the whole thing, when they open the capsule he's in before he jumps out, there's a camera located behind him inside the capsule, and it faces outwards, and literally it shows no curvature on it, because that one didn't have the artificial fisheye lens that distorts the image. This guy didn't even know that. But he's like, oh, there's the curve. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. Come on, it's just stupid.
Let's see.
That's what you said.
Let's see. The altitude necessary to visualize detect curvature would seem to be about 14,000
He's reading
to
Google.
35,000 feet. Now that was Google.
So would you say that Neil deGrasse Tyson was wrong?
It's quite possible that he was wrong. I'm gonna have to find that quote. Okay, so there's.
If you look up on YouTube,
Let's see. Let's see. Neil
2012 Red Bull space jump. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Bull. Let's see. Space jump. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Yep. There's. Look. What's that? Oh man, that can't be a curve, can it? Oh man.
You do realize that.
Yep. There's. Look. What's that? Oh man, that can't be a curve, can it? Oh man.
You do realize that that's a fisheye lens camera, right?
No, it's oh god.
Like seriously, you do realize I could go in my backyard and set up a camera at literally 200 feet off the ground and would show the same
Let's
curvature.
see. He's pointed out. What is he?
I mean,
Like, see, he won't acknowledge that point that I just said. That bombshell I just dropped on him there. That he said, oh, there's no fish islands. That's nonsense. But it's like, dude, you literally know that I can go and purchase a GoPro camera, attach it to like a drone, fly a couple hundred feet in the air, and literally it will show curvature to the Earth from like 400 feet in the air. So would you then say that's the curvature too, or will you acknowledge that's the camera distorting the image? I mean, you can't have it both ways. How the hell could there be so much curvature from 400 feet above the Earth and the Earth be, 24,900 and some miles in circumference? Clearly, it's the camera distorting it. This dude probably doesn't even know the circumference of the world. Like again, he claims to be so knowledgeable, but ironically enough, I know more about the world he believes he lives in than he knows. Right? Flat earthers know more about the heliocentric model than globe earthers do. He doesn't even know what the word heliocentric or geocentric means. Bet $100 on it. So again, I mean, this is just astonishing. Guys, again, the dude's so dishonest, he won't even acknowledge that it's a fact. Again, you don't have to agree the world's flat, but you can at least acknowledge that, yeah, it's possible to distort the curve of the Earth with a fisheye lens camera. He won't even acknowledge that that's possible. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson just said, well, yeah, that the curvature from that image there, that's clearly, just a fisheye lens. That's not the curve. Even Neil deGrasse gets that. This dummy can't seem to get that through his, thick skull.
Man, are you seriously trying to be stupid, or do you not realize that I literally can do that in the backyard? Like, are you going to acknowledge that or not?
I really don't care what kind of stupid things you come up with to.
Again, it's not. How is that stupid? I simply said that do you acknowledge it's a fact that I could go get a drone and fly 200, 300, 400 feet in the air in my backyard, and it will literally show me curvature of the Earth from well under 1,000 feet, right? Significant curvature to the world. It's like, do you acknowledge that's true? Because it is true. Anybody can go do that experiment themselves. Again, he's not even honest enough to admit that's true. He's just, oh, that's the curve. I mean, I believe it. Like, there's literally video on ground level there's some cameras out there that are so distorted, literally on ground level, like 2 feet above the ground, that she was showing curvature to the Earth. Literally 2 feet above the ground. Clearly, that's the distortion of the camera, right? And he still won't even acknowledge that. He's like, oh, whatever. Come on.
Once again, you can say it's stupid, but I've done more research into these.
No, you haven't. No, you've done things to confirm your belief.
Notice.
You said all I did was look into things to confirm my belief. It's like, oh, well, dummy, you do realize that every flat earther was not born a flat earther. You do realize that me and every other flat earther out there went through the education system and was taught the globe in school, and we all believe that. I remember to this very day, when I was sitting in first grade, the teacher pulled the globe, she grabbed the globe off the counter, turned the lights off, she grabbed a flashlight, and used that to represent the sun, and she showed us, okay, look guys, when it's daytime over here, it's nighttime on the other side of the world. Then the Earth rotates, and then it's nighttime for us, and daytime for them. I remember that, sitting there on the rainbow color carpet watching the teacher demonstrate that. I remember that all these years later. So again, I believed it. I had no question that we lived on the globe. I never even thought to question it until 2016, when I started looking into some things that, didn't make sense about the whole thing. So again, you can't sit there and say, oh, just looking into things to validate what you wanted to say. It's like, no, because we all started off with what you believe about the globe. But then, since we had an open mind, we saw all of the problems and the fakery with NASA, and we saw all that, and we're like, wait a second, something's off with this. We got to look further into this. So again, the guys like this just demonstrate that they're not knowledgeable. And I've proven this guy literally looked not even 5 minutes into the flat Earth because he said earlier, it's like, what, you guys believe it's like a pancake or something? It's like, dude, literally nobody believes that. Most believe that there's a dome over the world, or some believe the plane goes out to, a third or distance to other lands. Again, there's many different beliefs, but literally nobody believes it's a pancake shape, that if you go far enough, you'll fall off. The fact that you could say that demonstrates that you have very little knowledge about the topic that you're speaking about.
It's not research.
Google search, and that was your proof.
Okay, so here's what I found Neil say on X there. Let's see. The edge of space jump, a corresponding fall to the schoolroom globe, begins 1 millimeter above the surface.
There's a video is what I'm talking about. There's a video you can find on the internet. He's doing a commentary about the Red Bull space jump. That what's this guy? Shit, I can't remember the guy's name. But the Red Bull space jump and
here we go. So here you have Flathead. Let's see. We have Flathead politics. I'm not going to watch that one because it's going to be highly edited. Here's the one from Star Talk that it actually comes from. That's probably where they're getting this from. But sure, why don't we go with the cherry-picked one, see what they say.
You don't see the curvature of the Earth. You don't see the curvature.
Okay, so they're cherry-picking what he said, obviously, from something larger than what he said. Yeah.
Again, you can see the full unedited one.
Look, Big Fink shutting down flat earthers. Neil deGrasse Tyson. So he disagrees that the Earth is flat.
This cat said Neil deGrasse Tyson. This cat can't even say the dude's name right. Oh, man. And you know what I find funny here? The dude goes over the point where, well, look, now Neil deGrasse Tyson is debunking flat Earth. And it's like, well, see, he's going against it. And then it's like, well, dude, I never said that this guy was a flat earther. I simply said that there's a world-famous astrophysicist that has a lot of knowledge about the heliocentric model. He even said that you can't see the curvature from the 14,000 feet that you said you believe you can see it from because Google told you. That's the only reason I brought this guy up. Never once did I say that this guy was a flat earther. Everybody knows that this guy is like one of the top, what's the word I'm looking for? This guy's at the top level of, the whole heliocentric model, being taught in the education system. This guy's at like the top level with those dudes up there, right? This guy's like one of their priest of this religion. Basically, to put it in simple terms.
I never said that this guy said the Earth was flat. I didn't say that.
He said this thing that you agree with at one point, but when he says something you don't agree with, then you disagree with him. All right. So
but again, you do that with a lot of people, though. Again, I could easily say 20 different people or organizations that say some things I agree with, but then other things I disagree with. And I've said that for years and years. So Neil deGrasse Tyson's the same. I think he's a very smart man, definitely. That doesn't mean he's right with everything that he's saying. So again, you can say when somebody's right on something, you could agree with them, and then they could also go off on something. Matter of fact, I watched this guy on YouTube called D. McClung, and one of his statements is, he was right until he was wrong. Right? He was right until he was wrong. Right, so somebody can be right about a lot of things, but then they can be wrong about something they say. Doesn't mean you hate them. You give them credit, but then if they go off, then you say, they got that one wrong. And then move on. It's like, it's not the end of the world. You get what I'm saying? And by the way, since the video is almost over, if anybody made it this far into the video, put hashtag DM. DM stands for Deconverted Man, right? So if anybody made it this far into the video, put hashtag DM in the comment section.
Know that your beliefs are wrong. We know that. I wonder what else is wrong.
Deconverted Man. You're literally putting words on my mouth. I simply said that Neil deGrasse Tyson, sure, he's definitely a smart man. I simply said that when he did a commentary on the 2012 Red Bull space jump, he said at 127,000 feet, you can't see any curve. That's all I said.
Okay, so what?
So that shows that you were wrong saying that you can see the curvature at 14,000 feet, like you looked up on Google.
Or he was wrong.
Okay, now how do you determine what one of them is wrong? Because keep in mind, your evidence is a Google search, right? You sit there and make fun of Christians, but your evidence is a Google search.
Yeah.
Like Google doesn't lie about anything, right?
Well, it could be wrong, sure.
Right. You see that he's like, well, that's not really important. Right, so he'll bash Christians for believing in this ancient book, and why would you believe something that a bunch of people writ down? But then his gullible ass is like, oh, well, let me look this up on Google to validate this. It's like, wait, but aren't you now just believing something that a couple people typed down and put on the internet? It's like you do acknowledge Google lies about certain things at times, right? So you mean to tell me that now you're trusting known liars? I mean, come on, this guy is a damn clown. And you'll see he boots me off in a minute. And why is that? Because he was getting daggered, right? This guy, he haven't felt the heat like this under his ass with a opponent in quite a while. You could tell, man, that I had this guy on his tippy toes right here. I had this guy on his toes the whole time, man. This guy hasn't faced a opponent that brought the heat like me in quite a long time. This guy usually used to people that just repeat the bullshit he says, but he hasn't went up against a opponent like me in hell of a long time. You could tell, man, that this guy was fumbling for his words. He was doing a whole lot of tap dancing, basically.
But do you acknowledge that you trust known liars?
I trust no liar. What the fuck does that
I
mean?
said you trust known liars is what it.
Oh, I trust known liars?
No, I do not.
No, I don't trust people that are known to lie. So bye. All right, let's get he's. I don't want him here anymore. Waste of my. No, I don't trust people that are known to lie. So bye. All right, let's get he's. I don't want him here anymore. Waste of my time and energy. I'm not going to deal with young earthers and flat earthers and that nonsense. If you want to, you're more than welcome to, but he's not welcome here. And the reason why I interrupted, if you think, Deconverted, you're being unsocial, whatever, I'm not going to listen to nonsense, because that's all it is. Ron Wyatt, known forger. Then he brings up Kent Hovind as a scientist. Really? That's his standard. He's done research.
But again, though, with that, it's like, well, what about Kent Hovind? And again, as I said earlier, hell, and now I'm demonstrating the point again. You can agree with somebody and disagree. I said earlier, Kent Hovind, I disagree with him when it comes to scriptures, but as far as evolution, he does a very good job at proving the point, right? So, again, what about him is not a scientist? Like, literally, I've never seen a person debate the creation standpoint against evolution as well as this guy can do it. I mean, this guy knows his stuff when it comes to evolution. He knows hell more about it than you know, Deconverted. Okay? So, again, what about this guy is not a scientist? First of all, what determines a person to be a scientist? What's the word science mean? This guy doesn't know the answers to those questions. But that's my challenge I got for him. It's like, you say that this guy, Kent Hovind, is not a scientist. Well, what about him makes him not a scientist? I mean, for Christ's sake, the guy literally has, I believe it's called Dinosaur Adventureland or something like that. He has like his own, I don't want to call it theme park because it's like an educational center. Like, how, I believe, what is this guy? Bill Nye, I believe he has like the Ark Encounter or something like that. That they have they build a Noah's Ark, and they call it, I think it's called the Ark Encounter, you can look it up. And this guy, Ken Hovind, he has basically like an educational center, they call it Dinosaur Adventureland, or, something along those lines, where you can come out and learn about, the creation story and about all these, species from the past, and things like that. So again, what about this guy is not a scientist exactly? I mean, you need to explain that. Because you're not making a lot of sense.
No, what he's done is he's gone to web pages that confirm his beliefs that he holds. He hasn't done any actual research on.
And again, that just isn't true. That just is not true. Because again, on any topic that you could pick out, say for instance, right, the Noah's Ark thing. There's multiple different other places in the world where they claim they found Noah's Ark. I've looked into those, and out of all of the sites that are claimed, I find the one on Mount Ararat to be the most reliable when it comes to evidence. I've looked at the other sites around the world where they claim they found the ancient boat at, and I've said, well, nah, that's doesn't seem right there. So again, I'm not just cherry picking something and just going with that. Same thing with the Nuweiba Beach. There's like 20 different locations from Egypt that people claim the Red Sea crossing happened from Exodus. I've looked at multiple of them, but the one that makes the most sense and has the most evidence is the Nuweiba Beach. Same thing with Mount Ararat. Excuse me. Same thing with Mount Sinai. Same thing with Mount Sinai. There's multiple places in Saudi Arabia and around the world where they claim is the real Mount Sinai, the real mountain of God where Moses received the commandments. I've looked at multiple of those sites, but the one that comes up at the top with evidence is this one in Saudi Arabia. The locals call it Jebel El Lawz or something like that. The government knows that that's the real mountain. They have it off limits. So again, this guy's just talking out of his behind is what he's doing. He has no evidence in what he's saying, but then criticizes people like me who actually know what they're talking about. And you can see he got daggered in this debate. I mean, he hasn't faced a competitor like me in a long time that literally put him at rock bottom with all his arguments. Everything he brought up got sliced down to the root.
The matter at all, and I just don't have the patience for it. Not even a little. And I don't care if he thinks whatever about me. I don't care. I just don't have the patience for it. Nonsense, I'm like, do you have any empirical evidence? He points to, ships are being made that could be used to pay for stuff, and maybe people will put them in their hands, and that will be the mark of the beast. Yeah, sure. The moment that we're all required to put them in our...
It's like you don't even have the decency to acknowledge about, say for instance, again, even if you don't believe in the Bible, can we at least agree that the one example I given out of, say, 100 different things that people claim is the mark, the one I give literally fits every qualification of the prophecy? Like, can we at least acknowledge that, again, even if you don't believe in the book, can we at least have the decency to acknowledge that the one thing I said it was literally fits every qualification according to the book of what it is? And he's like, whatever, nothing there. But again, the Bible says, let the ignorant be ignorant still, right? Let the righteous be righteous still. Let the ignorant be ignorant still. That's what the Bible says. So this guy is the ignorant. Say, hey, if you show him the evidence, doesn't want to believe it, let him believe what he wants.
Our hands and our foreheads to pay for stuff, then I guess that would be them pretty darn close to the mark of the beast. But that still wouldn't prove that the Bible is true. Not even a little. We have mummies.
he said it wouldn't even prove it a little. Wouldn't even prove it a little. So it wouldn't even spark your interest that something in a book written thousands of years ago literally happened in the world how it said it would. I mean, that wouldn't even 1% spark your interest. I mean, come on, that's just retarded. This dude said, we have mommies older than 12,000 years, right? Well, again, how do you know if they're actually that old? Because all the dating, it's basically like a speculation. You literally can't precisely date something to an exact day and exact year. I mean, to believe that's just stupid. That's just retarded to say that you can totally reliably date something to an exact year. It's just not true.
Yeah, we have all sorts of stuff that's way older than 12,000. he doesn't have any citations at all. And he can rattle off numbers or whatever off the top of his head. I don't care. I just don't care. How do you know who's right, Neil or the Google? I'm going to trust Google more than I'm going to trust Neil to be right about it, broadly speaking. And Google's not going to be necessarily right, but for something that I'm doing on the fly, you know.
Damn right it's on
And
the fly.
my thing is logic, not science.
His thing is logic. Alright, well, I'm going to end that video there. I hope everybody thought this was entertaining and amusing. I certainly thought it was myself, for watching this for the third time now. So again, if anybody made it to the end, hashtag DM, right, Deconverted Man. And yeah, I'm going to call that the video there. I thank everybody for stopping by and listening in.